For the sales professional, prospecting for new clients is mandatory for success. There are many methods that are typically employed, such as telemarketing, lead purchasing, networking, and good old cold calling, for example. One of the prospecting methods that seems to be greatly misunderstood is gaining referrals from current clients. Usually, the salesperson has a memorized script that goes something like, "Just like yourself, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, I am constantly looking for new clients and would appreciate any referrals that you could give to me." Well, days and weeks and months go by with little or even no referrals ever passed on. Why? It's simple. The client didn't get a copy of the script, so they didn't know to give the salesperson a list of all their contacts and a ringing letter of endorsement to their contacts as well. But seriously, a couple of thoughts here. First of all, you've asked the owner to compare your business value proposition, which they probably are somewhat familiar with but not really intimately versed in, against the needs and wants of their contacts. You're really asking them to multitask, which for most people means doing two things poorly at one time. So the natural inclination of your client is to freeze up and offer something like, "Well, let me think about it and I'll get back to you." Does that sound familiar? It does to me. It could also be the salesperson has overestimated the depth of their relationship with their client. The client probably nodded their head when the salesperson asked for the referrals, but never really intended to provide any leads. The client was either too nice to say something, or more than likely they just forgot the request soon after. They either A, didn't see the value for themselves, or B, they didn't feel comfortable attaching their name to something when maybe they didn't 100% trust the salesperson at this point. In other words, a reputation of integrity has not been fully established, not yet. So how does a salesperson actually get to the point where the client can feel comfortable providing recommendations and leads? Well, like all things in sales, there's a process that involves multiple steps. You have to resolve to follow all of these steps if you're going to fully integrate this into your selling repertoire. Step number one is providing a service review in person with the client after the goods or services have been provided. Now, this should already be taking place, where you're sitting down with them and discussing any areas for improvement or modifications, along with their overall satisfaction with you and with your products. This is not a time to ask for referrals. The salesperson hasn't yet earned that right. But that comes in step two. Later, after any modifications have been implemented and things are going smoothly with the client, it's time to gain their agreement that your reputation is solid in their eyes, that you have come through on your initial sales promises, and that you hopefully have earned their respect. So at this point, would the client be willing to endorse the salesperson? Not to give referrals yet, but to endorse them, to verify that you have the skill set and expertise to handle their business. Be patient, please, because in step three, you ask for referrals by beginning to network with your client. This is when the business dynamic changes, because more than likely your client is in sales in one shape or another, and probably they're prospecting for clients as well. So it's time for you to get clarity about their business. What do they do? What is their business value proposition? What are their differentiators? It's time to explore the possibility of establishing a synergistic networking relationship. If the client seems open to forming a networking partnership, a deeper dive into each other's business should take place now in step four, which is prospecting. Really, what is each party looking for? The original prospectors back in the mining days would pick locations that actually had what they were looking for. The gold miner would prospect in a gold mine. The silver miner would pick a location that's known to have silver, of course. For that reason, you and your client partner should define your mines. Clarify, what are your desired clients? What do they look like? What are your targeted markets? What are the most favorable demographics? This narrowing down of potential prospects will allow us to focus when we get down to step five, which is developing an action plan. Both parties should agree to and be clear to what the methods are that we're going to use for making contacts. Who's going to reach out to the prospects and how? What are each of your roles? What does follow-up look like? It all sounds great in the safety of the office and looks awesome on paper, but all this is meaningless unless the plans are actually implemented. And in step six, that's when we actually do this. This is when we start calling on referrals. The last step is vital to the continuation of this networking relationship. Each party should report back any results from the referrals, whether they were successful or not. This will allow us to make any changes or modifications in our strategy and in our tactics. Plus, our natural curiosities make us want to know what happened. I hope you've enjoyed this brief high-level look at referral prospecting with current clients. For more information, be sure to check out our website at www.riseSalesTraining.com or book a training session for a deeper dive. Thank you so much for watching.